Alright guys, so today's video is going to be a little bit different than most of my videos on this channel. Today we're actually driving out to a historic monument, a national monument, that is a very solemn and interesting place. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and even though it's a very important site, a lot of people don't get out to visit it just because it is so far away. So I thought instead of shooting another video with the Kia for a just regular review, that I would go on a bit of a road trip, and thank you Kia for providing me this car, and head out about 3 hours to the California desert to show you guys a really unique historical monument that a lot of people don't get to visit just because it is so far off the beaten path. So I've got about a 3-hour drive, and I'm going to take you guys along. Alright, just arrived here at the visitor center. Gonna go check that out and then go actually tour the camp area.
Hundred 20,000 persons of Japanese ancestry living in the United States were forcibly removed from their homes and placed in makeshift internment camps. This action was taken without trial, without jury. It was based solely on race. These 120,000 were Americans of Japanese descent. Yes, the nation was then at war, struggling for its survival, and it's not for us today to pass judgment upon those who may have made mistakes while engaged in that great struggle. Yet we must recognize that the internment of Japanese Americans was just that, a mistake. The legislation that I am about to sign provides for a restitution payment to each of the 60,000 survivors, surviving Japanese Americans, of the 120,000 who were relocated or detained. Yet no payment can make up for those lost years. So what is most important in this bill has less to do with property than with honor. For here we admit a wrong. Here we reaffirm our commitment as a nation to equal justice under the law. Not in spite of, but because of our polyglot background, we have had all the strength in the world. That is the American way.
It's really windy outside. We're going to go drive around the actual site now and then go visit the memorial, which is on the other side of the camp. Some of the original buildings are still standing, and it was a pretty good sized camp. 10,000 people were relocated here, so it's a big space. We're going to go drive around. So that section that we just left, where the cemetery was and the memorial was not built by the U.S. government to remember what happened here. That was actually built by the men and women that lived here. And it happened that during the internment, there was one of the best stonemasons in California that was interned here. His name was Ryozo Kato. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. But he was a well-known stonemason and built that monument by raising basically donations within the camp that were like 15 cents a family. Like, it was very, very little money, but they raised that money and built that monument there themselves to memorialize those who died here. The interesting thing is that monument and the cemetery were actually outside the barbed wire. They were outside the camp, and it was because they didn't want their family members buried in captivity. Like, they wanted them to be buried free outside the barbed wire. And it's both really sad and very beautiful at the same time, and very sobering. It's a good trip. I'm really glad I came up here. If you have the chance to stop, it's a couple hours of your time to drive around and visit the museum and everything that's here. And I really suggest you take it. I'm going to link the information for this, visitor center and the hours and all that down below, so check that out. But I gotta head back now. It's about a 3-hour drive back down to Southern California, but I think it was worth it.